Just when you thought you heard it all, here is another one for you. Have you ever been flashed on a cruise ship? Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
And we are JJ Cruise. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wow, we tell a lot of stories from the sea on the channel, but this one might actually take the cake.
Yeah, we have never ever thought we would have to say this on a channel, but officially, someone's been flashed on the middle of the ocean on a cruise ship. But before we get into today's story and what our conversation's about, please subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 50,000 subscribers, and you can be the difference to getting us to our goal of 50K.
Ever since the pandemic, cruising makes the news on a regular basis, and the cruise industry has once again found itself in the spotlight of a CNN travel article titled, "Has Cruising Etiquette Been Lost at Sea?"
Immediately, we have some thoughts because if you're not familiar with what we do, all we do is cruise. In fact, we have been on ships more than we've been on land so far this year. And last year was pretty close to 50% on ships over being on land as well. So we know how cruising has been the last few years and even prior to the pandemic, how it was. But has cruise etiquette really gone away?
If you've been following the channel, we've had a number of different run-ins with people on cruise ships where we felt like it's bad cruise behavior. We've seen people stick their hands in buffet food. We've seen people not wash their hands after using the bathroom. We've seen people yell at each other and fight over seats and chairs by the pool and in the theater. And that's kind of what this CNN article discusses. It lists a number of different things and kind of explains that there are quite a few bad cruisers out there cruising around the world.
We have to recommend that you go read this article for yourself, but we're going to highlight a few things that we haven't talked about on the channel. And then we're going to talk at the end about one major thing that was missing out of this article that has actually ended more cruisers' vacations and really needs to be a focus for CNN, for any media out there, because it has to stop. What we have to talk about at the end has to stop, but let's talk about a few of the pieces or highlight a few thoughts that they had. And the first one I think that has to be talked about is kids.
Yeah, the article talks about kids on cruise ships and specifically parents not parenting their children on cruise ships. If you've been on a family-friendly cruise line like Carnival or Royal Caribbean, you may have seen this. You might have seen kids or teenagers running up and down the hallways, making loud noises, being in parts of the ship that they're not supposed to be in. And I think the point here, and the point that the article was making, is there are kids and teen clubs on board for that reason.
Royal Caribbean is building the world's largest cruise ship. That is icon of the seas. This is meant for families. We know that cruising for families is becoming more and more popular as one of the best ways to save your money on vacation by doing a cruise vacation. And knowing this is a good time for us to reiterate here, that is the proper etiquette, is to be mindful of your kids. If you're going to be in the hallways with kids, make sure they know to use their inside voices, not their outdoor voices, and no splashing allowed.
Something else that the article tackles is booze cruises, or weekend cruises that are just nothing but party cruises, and specifically people getting way too drunk at cruise ships and, well, not acting their age.
This is where the flasher comes into play. Recently, there was, a group of people that love cruising and go on cruises all the time. And they had somebody wearing a kilt come up to them. And they were obviously drunk. This man was a drunk man asking, "You want to know what's under my kilt?" Let's just say the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. Before they could say if they wanted to see anything or not, the man flashed what was underneath. And let's just say there was nothing preventing a full-on show.
That's just one example of many different examples shared across the internet about people being too drunk on cruise ships. Carnival has their limit on alcohol, 15 drinks per day, I think for this very reason, for people getting too drunk, getting belligerent. We've seen a lot of fights break out on cruise ships in the last couple of years. So it's just something to be mindful that if you can't handle your alcohol, you probably just shouldn't be drinking.
Another one we don't talk about on the channel enough, a lot of the other ones we have, but this one we'll highlight, is just being timely. And that's expectations of even boarding day, but more so on excursions. We all know pier runners, right? Those that come late to the ship because they might have had an excursion that went long, or maybe they just got a little too much alcohol at the bar and didn't realize what time it was. But what is most noticeable is when you're on an excursion with someone who does not respect the time that the tour guide sets to be back at the bus.
There are so many excursions like tours of cities and tours of amazing places where you have multiple different stops. And the tour guide will say, okay, everybody has to meet back here in 25 minutes or give you a very specific time. We always are some of the first people back on the bus because we respect that time frame, but we almost always tend to be waiting on other people to board the bus, especially I feel like now more than ever. And I don't know if that's because you just have a lot more people cruising now than in the past, but it's very inconsiderate of other people that are on your excursion. And frankly, it's just flat out rude.
So this article covers a lot of different areas, but the one it doesn't really cover and should be covering actually affects every single person on the cruise and can really end your cruise short because you're not mindful of others. And that is hygiene. It has been mind-blowing to us, the change from 2 years ago to today. This is got to be a focus moving forward. Hygiene is important.
We want to reiterate, this is not a cruise problem. This is a people problem. This is a cruiser problem. I cannot tell you the number of times that we have gone to the bathroom in a public bathroom and watched adult men go from the urinal or the toilet and walk directly right out of the bathroom without washing their hands. It has been on every single cruise line. No cruise line is exempt from this. And it is one of the things that grosses me out more than anything else because people's hands touch everything. They touch buffet utensils, they touch slot machines, handrails, doorknobs, you name it, those hands go all over the place, and that is how sickness spreads.
Speaking of sickness, once you are sick on a cruise ship, you need to be a little more mindful of others. Maybe stay in your room more. Maybe put on a mask. Do whatever it is to stay away from people. And what we have noticed this year more than ever before is the amount of people that are going out in public and coughing, sneezing, runny nose, and then touching slot machine buttons or elevator buttons. And also people talking at bars to other people while they are obviously sick. If you are sick, you need to know that it is not something everyone else wants to be as well. It is not like a communal thing that since you got sick, everyone else deserves to be sick. It is a respect thing to know if you're sick, to stay away from others and respect their space.
We could talk all day about bad cruiser behaviors and the things that you should and shouldn't do on ships, but the one thing that needs to remain consistent is hand washing and good hygiene on ships. We both kind of read the article and looked at each other. We're like, there's something really big missing here. And we hope that you agree at home. But now we do turn this around to you. What do you think about this article? We're going to link it in the description below, but let us know. What do you think about the bad behavior that is mentioned here in the video or in the article? And what do you think about what Jared and I are saying? Do you agree that hygiene has been kind of lost at sea over the last year?
We do love the fact that out of all the places you may go on vacation, cruise ships are the ones that do provide hand washing at the buffets. They have hand sanitizer throughout. We were just in Disney World and hand sanitizer is no longer a thing there. We thought that was absolutely wild, especially with the amount of kids and a lot of touching going on everywhere. So please let us know your thoughts. We want to hear from you.
Thank you so much for watching the video. And until next time, see ya!